Today we're going to talk about Venn diagrams. This is in a section for probability in Unit 2 where we model the probability. What we want to be able to accomplish is being able to read probability from a Venn diagram, and we also want to create Venn diagrams from real-world probability situations. So here's an example. Suppose we have a Venn diagram about those who like pizza and those who like sushi. Suppose there's a survey going around. We have 18 there in the middle, 35, 14, and 11. So you need to be able to identify each section of the Venn diagram. The one we're probably most familiar with is the middle section. That is those who like both pizza and sushi. The outside is probably the one we're next familiar with, those who like neither pizza or sushi. And then in the circle that's not part of the overlap, those who only like pizza, and those who only like sushi. So what you'll need to notice here is that if it's not inside of the circle, it is the opposite of whatever the title of that circle is. So if you like sushi, you're in the sushi circle. If you don't like sushi, you're out of the sushi circle. That's going to come into play when we talk about men versus women. If you're in the men's circle, you're a man. If you're not in the men's circle, you're a woman. So we also need to be able to identify characteristics of the Venn diagram. We look at the total number of people surveyed. We just add up each of the numbers in the Venn diagram, and that gives us a total of 78 people. The total number of people that like sushi, that's every number inside of the circle labeled those who like sushi. 18 plus 14 is 32. The total number of people that like pizza, that's everybody in the pizza circle. 35 plus 18 is 53. The total number of people that don't like sushi, that's everybody outside of the sushi circle. That's 35 plus 11 is 46. And the total number of people that don't like pizza, again, everybody outside of the pizza circle, 14 plus 11 is 25 people. And lastly, in terms of reading a Venn diagram, you need to be able to calculate probability when given a Venn diagram. So your first type of question is, what's the probability of a person selected at random that likes pizza? Well, here's the shorthand notation, probability that they like pizza. Well, that's equal to how many people are in the pizza circle. That's 35 plus 18. Divided by the total number of people of 78. So 35 plus 18 is 53 people out of the total of 78. The second question we have, what is the probability a person selected at random likes sushi and pizza? Well, here your shorthand probability of sushi and pizza, that's going to be right here in the middle, 18. So 18 divided by your total is 18 over 78. Next question, what is the probability of a person selected at random like sushi or pizza? So here they don't like both, they like one or the other. So we're going to be looking at this 35 and this 14, adding those together and getting 49 out of 78. And then lastly, what's the probability of a person selected at random likes neither sushi nor pizza? So one thing you need to notice is the shorthand notation. This little tilde refers to not. So if you don't like sushi, you're going to have that little tilde in front of sushi. Well, the people that don't like pizza and sushi, well, that's 11 out of the total 78. And then a little bit more difficult probability problems given a Venn diagram looks like the following. What's the probability that a person selected at random likes pizza given that they don't like sushi? This word given means the total changes. This means that you know they don't like sushi, or you know the total number is based on what follows that word given. So here my total number is of those that don't like sushi. Well, those that don't like sushi is going to be 35 and 11. So that becomes my new total. That is my new denominator. So again, here's what it looks like. The tilde here represents those that don't like sushi. And this little division bar here is this word given. So if you see that division bar, that means that your total, the number under the fraction, changes. The top is pizza only, and the bottom is whatever the total is outside of the sushi circle. 35 and 11 is 46 in the bottom, and pizza only is 35. And then just one more way to look at this. What's the probability the person selected at random likes sushi given that they don't like pizza? It's the exact same concept, just reverse. So here, not pizza is the total for people who don't like pizza is in the denominator, and the people that only like sushi is in the numerator. Then we have 14 over 25. Notice this total changes when this word given is in the problem. Whatever follows that word given is how the denominator is determined. So that's how we're going to be reading Venn diagram probability. Next, we need to be able to create a Venn diagram with 2 circles and with 3 circles. So here's the problem. 1,000 people were surveyed. 435 of those people were men. Of the men surveyed, 311 owned their own home. 219 of the women surveyed did not own their own home. So we're going to have to do some calculations and identify the sections of a Venn diagram. The first thing that we need to notice is that there's only 2 categories, men, women. That's one category. We're going to call that category gender. The other category is owning your own home or not owning your own home. Okay, so we can call that other category owning a home, because the opposites of owning a home is not owning a home. So since there's 2 categories, that means that there's going to be 2 circles. And those 2 circles need to be labeled with one option of each of those categories. So I chose gender of men and owning their own home. So what we need to figure out is what do each of these sections mean? Well, this middle section is where they cross over. Men that own their own home. And hopefully you notice that that is given to you right here. Of the men that surveyed, 311 own their own home. So 311 men goes right there in the middle. And then we can find out a couple pieces of information. Well, there's 1,000 people. If we subtract 435 men, we're going to get 565 women. And that tells us how many is going to add up outside of our circle. The other thing is that if there's 435 total men, that means that this whole circle should total 435. So to get this number, we need to take 435 and subtract 311. That's going to give us 124. Next, we need to notice that 219 of the women surveyed did not own their own home. Well, right here is women, because it's outside of the men's circle. See, it's outside of this circle right there. So women that own their own home, we don't necessarily know that number. Out here is women that don't own their own home. So that number is given to us right here. 219 of the women surveyed do not own their own home, so that goes right here. And since there's 565 women, and we know that 219 don't own their own home, we can subtract 219 from 565, excuse me, and then we'll get the total of women that do own their own home. So when we do that, 565 minus 219, we're going to get 346 women that own their own home. So whenever we take away some of this work here, we're going to see the completed Venn diagram. And notice some of the work I showed shows you how to get some of these numbers. So if you need to see this work, you can just go back, rewind the video, and pause it as it's going. But here is your completed Venn diagram. Now, 2-circle Venn diagrams are relatively easy. We're going to go on to a 3-circle Venn diagram. Here we have the scenario: 35,023 people attended the Rangers game last night. 15,369 were men. 10,197 people purchased hot dogs. Of those who purchased hot dogs, 5,098 were women. And of the women who purchased a hot dog, 3,901 bought a drink. 20,768 purchased something to drink. So that's the total of people who purchased something to drink. And 10,005 of those people were men. 2,057 men with drinks also had hot dogs. So here you can see where some of the categories start to overlap, But you should also see that there are 3 categories. Men, so gender is one category. Purchasing hot dogs is another category. And then buying a drink, purchasing a drink, is a third category. So that means that there are going to be 3 circles in this Venn diagram, and I went ahead and chose 3 titles for each. So remember, if it's not in the women's circle, it's a man. So make sure that you can identify each of these sections of this Venn diagram before you get going. So here, I've went ahead and labeled each of these sections. You'll notice that the men's sections are in blue and the women's are in gray. And we'll go ahead and keep those there, and we'll just write over them. So there are, in total, 35,023 people. And 15,369 were men. So that means we're going to get our total of women. And that's going to be 19,654 women. All right, so now that we've seen a little bit about this, let's see if we can figure out where some of this information goes directly into the Venn diagram. So right here we have men with drinks and hot dogs. That's 2,057. So men with drinks and a hot dog, that's right here, 2,057. We also should be able to see that of the women that purchased a hot dog, 3,901 also bought a drink. So 3,901 goes right there in the middle. Women that bought a hot dog and a drink. And then we have, of those who purchased hot dogs, 5,098 were women. And of those that purchased drinks, 10,005 were men. So what we're going to start with is this 10,197 that bought hot dogs, 5,098 of them were women. So we can see that by subtracting those 2 numbers, we can figure out the total men that purchased a hot dog, which I believe is 5,099. And if we can figure out the number of men that purchased a hot dog and then take away those that also purchased a drink, 2,057, that's men with a hot dog and a drink, we can subtract 2057 and get 3,042 men with only a hot dog. And we see that that goes right here, 3,042. You should be able to see that right here in this section, this is the last section that involves hot dogs, and all the total hot dogs is 10,197. So I should be able to subtract 3042, 3901, and 2057 from 10,197 to get my last hot dog circle or section. When we do that, we get 1,197. Next, we're going to take the fact that 10,005 men purchased something to drink. So we take 10,005 men and we subtract the number of those people that also got a hot dog, which was 2057. And that tells me men with a drink, and this is with both. So when we subtract that, we get drinks only for men. And you get 7,948 men that only got a drink. So that's 7,948. And then you should be able again to see that total right there is the last drink category, or the last drink section. So we're going to take this total number of drinks purchased and subtract all three numbers. When you do that, you get 6,862 women that bought only a drink. And then lastly, again, you'll see this common thread. You'll see that this is the last section for women. Well, if we know the total number of women, we can subtract the three sections that we already know of women, and we're going to subtract those from 19,654 women to get our last section of the women's circle. And when you do that, you're going to get 7,694 women that bought nothing. And then lastly, you'll see it again. This is the last section outside of all three circles, men that bought nothing. Well, this is men that had only a hot dog, men that had both, and men that bought only a drink. So I can take the total number of men, which is right here, 15,369, and I can subtract the three sections that we know that are men to get men that bought nothing. And when you take the total number of men minus the three sections of men, you get 2,322 men that bought nothing. You should be able to see that this Venn diagram is completed. All 8 sections of the Venn diagram are filled out, and we used all this information to be able to fill out this Venn diagram. You should also notice a couple of the numbers that went directly into the Venn diagram, because they fit directly into a couple of the categories that the Venn diagram created. Alright guys, I know that was a little bit lengthy, but that's Venn diagrams.